This is DJ Rummage from the Numbskulls and Rustic Records. We're now listening to the Hip Hop World Cup.
Hip Hop World Cup,
a battle to the death.
Supreme Dream Team always up with the scheme. Hip Hop World Cup,
a battle to the death.
Supreme Dream Team always up with the scheme. Hip Hop World Cup,
a battle to the death.
Supreme Dream Team always up with the scheme. Hip Hop World Cup,
we going all in, so on the sound of the whistle,
let the games begin.
Hello and welcome to Hip Hop World Cup Dream Team, the podcast where classic hip hop tracks compete for a place on our playlist. I'm your host Danny Phillips, and joining me to pick our 1993 Dream Team are Steve Hitchcock and the man Roy Keane once described as looking like a child's drawing of Ryan Giggs, James Larry Luscombe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. How are you both? You all right?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to this. This is going to be a interesting episode, I think. Lots of great tracks on here from some of my favourite ever tracks are in this year. So looking forward to the jeopardy of seeing who gets through.
Well, that's a big intro. Amazing.
No pressure.
Yeah, it's a big year. It's a good year for hip hop as well. There's some absolute classics. Agreed. Before we do the actual podcast itself, I just want to give a shout out to our followers and the people who are listening and our listeners. It's growing bit by bit. We know there's an audience out there listening to our podcast. We just want to say we really appreciate you listening, downloading, wherever you listen. And I also just want to go through some of the countries where we've got listeners, because I thought it was quite interesting.
Wow.
I've been looking at it. 9% of our listeners are in Germany.
Wow,
which is great. So a big shout out to all our German listeners. And we've got other places like El Salvador, we've got Vietnam, Nicaragua. So just a big shout out to all our international listeners.
Do you think these are expats?
Probably expat hip hop fans.
Yeah, or as they're known over there, immigrants.
Yeah. So, we're coming to you live from London's O2 Arena, where we're about to discuss and debate our favourite hip-hop tracks from 1993. We've put together a squad of 22 songs that we're going to cut down to a starting 11, which we'll post as a playlist on Spotify. I've put a full list of the 22 tracks in the episode description, but in case you can't read, here they are. They are as follows. We've got Tupac's Point The Finga, Gangsta Bitch by Apache, A Tribe Called Quest Award Tour, Who Got the Props by Black Moon, Del the Funky Homo Sapien Wrong Place, DJ Shadow Entropy, Eazy-E Real Motherfucking G's, Fat Joe the Gangsta Flojo, Funk Dubious Bow Wow Wow, Ice Cube Ghetto Bird, KRS-One Sound of the Police, Lords of the Underground Chief Rocker, MC Ren Same Old Shit, Original Flavour Can I Get Open, Run DMC Down with the King, Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice, of course, Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity, Spice One, Trigger Got No Heart, The Beat Nuts, No Equal, Notorious B.I.G., Party and Bullshit, Trends of Cultures Off and On, and the Wu-Tang Clan's Cream. That's quite a list, chaps. 22 absolute bangers. Well, 20. So, I can't wait to get stuck into some of those. So those are the tracks, but how does Dream Team work? Well, let's go over to our 4D virtual reality studio, like what they have on Match of the Day, where an AI-powered avatar of me is going to explain the rules. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's the Hip Hop World Cup. Rules to the shit. Hip Hop World Cup. Rules to the shit. There's rules to this game, so let me tell you how we do it. It's the Hip Hop World Cup. Rules to the shit. Only the strong survive. It's the Hip Hop World Cup.
So here's how it works. The goal of this podcast is to create a dream team of the best 11 songs for each year of hip-hop's 90s golden era. Before each episode, we come up with a short list of our favourite 22 tracks from the selected year. Then, during the episode, we draw those tracks at random to face each other in a series of one-on-one matches, all competing for a place in our dream team. For each match, we discuss the two tracks and use the three-man vote to decide which is the winner. The triumphant song earns a place in our dream team playlist. The loser gets an early bath. So without further ado,
Let the games begin.
helping us with the draw today is someone who has spent much of his life immersed in hip-hop culture, former England footballer and manager Kevin Keegan. Hi Kevin, are you pumped for this episode?
I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Sounds like he's bang up for it. And joining him is rap legend Ice-T. Hello Ice, any words ahead of the draw?
Dirty, low, slut, tramp, bitch, hoe.
Lovely stuff. And contractually, though, our guests aren't allowed to speak once the draw has commenced, so you won't actually hear from them again. In fact, Ice-T is already in a taxi on his way to Weston-super-Mare, where he's opening a new child's play centre.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and performing songs from his 1993 Home Invasion album.
Yep.
So that's quite a treat for the kids, that'll be. Yeah. So that's the introductions done, and the people who are helping us with the draw. So join us after this quick sting for our 1993 Dream Team draw.
World Cup. World Cup. World Cup. World Cup.
Without further ado, let's crack on with the draw. Now, Kevin, would you please empty the balls into the bowl? Thank you. Now, this time, Larry is going to draw the first song and Steve the second. So, Larry, would you do the honours, please?
It's number 4.
Number 4. That is... Let me look at my list. That is Black Moon's Who Got the Props?
I'm going to play number 11.
Against KRS-One's Sound of the Police.
Oh, two
what
giants.
A big draw that is. So let's have a listen to what they sound like. Okay, 2 legendary tracks there. Who wants to go first on this matchup?
This is why this episode is going to be so hard, because it's impossible to rank some of these tracks because there's so many of my favourites on here. I don't know how I'm going to choose between these two.
Absolutely, but Black Moon versus KRS-One. KRS-One was your choice, was it, Steve? You advocated for that one.
Yep. Well, I think this is probably like one of the most iconic tracks in the whole of hip hop, just because of the content and the kind of like shock value in 1993. And yeah, I just think KRS-One should be regarded as one of the best MCs ever. His wordplay is really clever. I didn't know Showbiz produced this track until researching this.
Is that right?
Searching for this podcast, I was like, wow, I can't believe that. So yeah, it's beautifully produced. It's well layered. I think the bass on the track sounds really good as well. So I don't know. There's not like more to say. I think this is just one of those massive iconic tracks in hip hop.
Yeah. Sound of the Police. I mean, it was never one that I was massively into at the time.
Yeah, but it is iconic though. Yeah.
But it is iconic because I knew about it, and obviously that whoop whoop was sampled. Yeah. Whoop whoop. That was sampled on like everything. Any time you had a track about the police,
and you will hear people in crowds doing that noise when the police turn up.
Exactly. Any time and any track, somebody will sample KRS doing that noise. Yeah. But I wasn't into it. But it's undeniably great and an undeniable banger. What's your relationship with Sound of the Police?
I think it's kind of like it's on the Mount Rushmore of hip hop tracks. It's kind of like a I think up there with like a Mama Said Knock You Out in terms of like an incendiary kind of like riot provoking songs, especially given like the content. And I think if you were sending out like a hip hop mixtape into space on Voyager, you'd put this one on there just as an example of like a sort of protest kind of song, basically.
It's slightly more politically conscious though than like F the Police by NWA, doesn't it? So it has.
I think it's a bit more
intelligence.
Yeah,
which is his kind of whole stock in trade, isn't it? And
case in point, in him comparing them officers and overseers. Really clever.
Yep.
So
I think a lot of people sort of wouldn't. I certainly didn't know like what an overseer was until that.
Yeah.
And it's it's like a really really great comparison.
Yeah, and just the beat is absolutely banging. I'm really interested you said about Showbiz. I had no idea either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such a banging beat. You get your head nodding. So while I said I wasn't into it at the time, very aware of it, and you just cannot argue that it's one of the best beats, most recognisable tracks.
There's so many little kind of like his voice is so sampleable.
Yeah.
Hence why it has been like a million times. Just like the watch out.
Yeah.
We Run New York and all that kind of stuff is just incredible.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. But how do you think it compares them against Who Got the Props? I mean, they are two. I mean, and they're different beats, but they're similar at the same time. It's a strange one.
They're both hyped up tracks, aren't they?
Yeah. They're both anthems, both really well, instantly recognisable.
Yeah, I love the start. It's like a really got like stark sound at the beginning if you've got the props, and then that kind of the beat and rap comes in. It's just they're coming really hard. I like it, and again there's some really quotable lines on here.
Yeah, I mean it's
from Crooklyn.
Yeah. It's an instant classic. The minute it comes in,
it is a classic,
and it's very 1993 shouty chorus, But it really introduced you to the Beat Miners sound. It certainly was the first time I think I ever heard them. Just that kind of rugged, shouty, kind of rough Brooklyn sound or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so good. And that sample, the Ronnie Law's Tidal Wave sample, is obviously a favourite.
Yeah, I think it's probably like the best sample ever, maybe, or like up there in like a handful of like really incredible. Like imagine finding that for the first time and getting that in the sampler before anyone else finds it.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I don't think it's ever been used anywhere else, is it? Not in a major way.
No, the only kind of other example I can think of is on I think on the Return of the Loop Digger on the first Quaz album. I think he kind of samples like a different part of it, like for one of the little kind of skit bits in that. But yeah, I think you couldn't really. Like, you couldn't use it again after this, I don't think. No. Really.
It's the definitive use of that sample. Yeah, amazing.
One thing I will say about the music on it, and I'm probably just going to be alone in this, but the beat for me never quite... There's something... The beat just feels like it could be a bit kind of more weighty. Do you know what I mean? It's like the song as a whole just sounds a bit sort of thin. But when you compare it to like... what's the other track from the album with the really deep?
You got Ends Talk Shit. You got Buck 'Em Down.
Buck 'Em Down.
Yeah.
Which has got just such a kind of deep, kind of hard hitting kind of beat and bass on it. This one just by comparison just feels a bit thin.
Yeah.
And there's just something about it that just never. It always never like maybe it's like the snare's just not kind of loud enough or something. It's difficult to put my finger on.
Yeah, it's quite a lo-fi.
Feels a bit churlish to even sort of point it out on such a good track.
It doesn't quite punch through it much, but maybe that's just sort of the gritty kind of sound that they were going for, maybe. And often it's down to the way they recorded these things. It was quite lo-fi, isn't it? A lot of it.
Also, I don't really get why Buckshot has all three verses on it. Like, where was 5FT when this was being...
Yeah, he's barely on that album, isn't he? Anyway, I think famously he isn't on it very much. But yeah. Right, shall we vote on this one then? This is going to be quite tricky. I'm going to go first because I think you probably know where I'm coming from. I'm going to vote for Black Moon as the winner because it's the one I know best. It's my track. I wouldn't have put KRS-One forward, so there's no surprises there. So
I'll go KRS-One because I think, like both tracks, very hard to rank them, but I'm going to go for KRS-One because both him and that track are iconic. So Larry,
I think if I was going for like Sound of the Police is definitely more iconic, like a more weighty kind of serious contender for. Yeah. Like the all-time hip-hop mixtape.
Yeah. Don't say but though.
But on the other, I don't know. I think if it weren't for the lyrical content of Sound of the Police, if it was the same beat and KRS-One rapping with the same vigor, but just about something pedestrian, I'd probably go for Who Got the Props. But I don't know. I could go down either way. I think I will have to probably just go for Sound of the Police just because it is that iconic a track. But
that's bang out of order.
No, it's not.
I love Who Got the Props.
Genuinely, I didn't see that coming. I thought you were Black Moon all day.
To be honest, I hadn't even really. I kind of forgotten.
This is the dream team though, and it should be in the team.
But I think you asked most people. Not that I'm not driven by what most people say, but I think most people would go Who Got the Props is the bigger. Better known song or most deserving song. It's an anthem. It's an absolute anthem. Who Got the Props?
It is
I
brilliant.
think we should do a poll on our
maybe we can do that. Yeah. All right. Well, that's no, you can't argue with the 3-man vote system.
Just for it's the icon status
Yeah,
of it.
that's fair enough. Okay, so
Unlucky to come up against each other. Basically.
they are.
They both should be like both up front.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's cool. So KRS-One's Sound of the Police gets a place on the playlist. So let's get on to match number 2 now, which is going to be drawn first by Larry.
15.
That is Run DMC's Down with the King, Pete Rock production off the album of the same name.
Versus number 21.
The 21 is Trends of Cultures Off and On. That's quite an interesting matchup. Let's have a listen to those.
The name and equate me to sex. So when I drop bombs, damn Duke the brother flex. That's uptown for ya. Versatile styles with piles of files that go for miles. Come on, people, get with the trender, skin bender, known to render comp, not clearing microphone.
So, the Run DMC versus Trends of Culture. Now, you know what sort of relationship I have with Trends of Culture. It's a very strange one.
Yeah, you should go first on this.
And
tell us about that odd relationship.
Yeah, well, it started when our mutual friend met, decided to buy their album.
Yeah.
And I bought it. I borrowed it off him, and obviously recorded it. Perfect cassette album, fits on one side of a C90.
Yeah.
And I just played it the whole time. What I love about Trends of Culture, and they are a slept-on group. Let's not, make any bones about it. Not very well known, but I think they're slept on. Is that they had a real kind of
speaking,
jazzy, kind of soulful mood that kind of I love, as you know. And there was something about that album, but it was a combination of that, the production, but also the chemistry between the 3 rappers I thought was really good. And there was just something about that album that really, really spoke to me, knowing that it wasn't the sort of album that everybody was going to like. There's something, how sometimes you just connect with an album.
Just latch on to something.
So combined with that, I would see the video for this on MTV, Off and On, which was the lead single, which was just an absolute banger at the time. It was on all the time. Love it. I think it's a really kind of unusual track in that they are playing with the cadences and playing with rhyming on beat and off beat, which is something that I hadn't seen before. It's produced by Lord Finesse. This is actually the Lord Finesse remix that's on the album, which was, I've never heard the original, to be honest, but the Lord Finesse remix is the one on the album, and it's just an anthem. It's a great hook, just one of my all-time favourites. And yeah, I can't really say much more about it than that. And I've got it, number 2 on my ranking. As you know, I rank the tracks.
Can you
I've
got press one of those buttons for
Press your bang out of order.
No, I'm going to give it one of these.
I've got no love for this track apart from
No.
the production, which is good, and the rapping, despite their claims on this track, does not flow. I find it laboured and boring.
Well, they deliberately aren't flowing. That's the point of the track.
Yeah, but that's what
You've
they're
missed
bragging
it.
about on the track.
Yeah, but no, they're showing their ability to rhyme off and then on, off and on. That's the whole point of the track. Absolutely slamming. But you had to be there. I'm under no illusions. You had to be there at the time. If you weren't into it then, you're going to listen to it now and go, what the hell is this?
It is well
Some
produced
people were.
though. I must,
Yeah.
if it had some better rappers on there, I think it'd be
Well,
a
it's
really good
it's
track.
Lord Finesse. He's
Doesn't get
he's
much better,
selling.
does it?
I think you're doing Nasty a disservice. One of the Trends of Culture rappers. I think he's a decent rapper. Larry, go on then. What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I don't kind of I don't have much to say about it really. I know that it's always been one of your favourites. It's like a cellar dwellers kind of thing. Just something I never got into. I think it's kind of fine. The beat is fine, but unmemorable. It's classic '93 with the horns on it. Horns and '93 go together like kind of rhubarb and custard really. But yeah, the rapping I just find subpar, and I think they are deserved also rans.
Yeah,
rather than slept on.
That's fair enough because I'm very aware. I'm in the minority of people liking that group. But you like what you like. So comparing it to, I'm guessing I know where you two are going with this, but comparing it to Run DMC's Down with the King, then what are we thinking?
Well, yeah, this was like a comeback track for Run DMC because I think they spent a couple of years having as much success because we're a massive 80s hip hop group, early 90s, and then to come back with this, I think it's just this is another one of my favourite tracks from all time. This is amazing beats, just fantastic rapping, and I think they really do prove themselves to be kind of back on their game. And CL Smooth, who has had some criticisms from us on previous episodes, sounds really nice on this, and I just love it. It's just a really great head nodder, and one of your favourite producers as well, Mr. Pete Rock.
Not one of my actual favourite.
Your actual favourite.
Actual favourite, Pete Rock. Yeah, he's my favourite hip hop producer. Yeah, I think this is just an absolute iconic beat of his. Just, yeah, you're right. It was their comeback thing. They had an album '90 called Back From Hell, which really got on with the sort of New Jack Swing kind of sound. It was really. Yeah, and then they came back with this 3 years later, and they had a kind of reinvention, like with the bold heads and the Tims and the the shouty choruses. They started working with like loads of producers who were hot at the time, like Chai Skills, which is Onyx's producer, which had a kind of a distinctive sound to it.
I think it's kind of a bit of a shame, really, that like the iconic rap group felt that they had to change to fit in with like the current crowd.
It is, yeah.
Don't you think?
Because they set trends, don't they?
They set trends.
They did,
I mean, I was a bit. I'm a bit young, really, to have come. We came to hip hop a little bit after like Run DMC's heyday, and I would have known them from like Walk This Way. I'm that would have kind of made its way to my ears through the radio, I'm sure. But by the time we got into hip hop, the kind of Run DMC were a bit sort of.
They were fading.
They were in the past. Never kind of had a relationship with them because of that. I never really kind of made up for that by kind of getting into them. I do think like their best stuff is incredible and iconic, but I think they really suit that kind of old school stripped down drum machines and stabs kind of thing really well. And I just like this beat is fine. I think I'd like it a lot more if I'd been familiar with it for all these years, but I'm not. But they just it just doesn't quite fit for me. Like them on this kind of music just doesn't really work, I don't think.
I think a lot of the other tracks on this album, you would be absolutely right. I think it doesn't quite work, but I think this is the one where it does kind of work, because it's kind of got a nod to a lot of their early stuff, like they repeat a lot of the lyrics, the choruses from their old tracks. So I slightly pushed back on that with this track, but I think in general, they did flounder a little bit on this album, which is a bit of a shame. That's a really good point, actually, about them being, following trends rather than setting them. But
they're one of the kind of early, they are one of the kind of earliest sort of rap superstars, aren't they? They are the original ones. Yeah.
All right then. Well, any more thoughts on this matchup? Because I think it's time to vote. I'm going to go with Trends and Cultures just because it's
even though Mr. Pete Rock is
Run
DMC.
I don't just automatically put it above just because it's Pete Rock produced. I just genuinely loved Off and On from the moment I heard it more than I did Down with the King. Loved Down with the King, but I wouldn't put it above Trends and Culture.
Well, I'll chuck my hat in the ring for Down and the King so that Larry can have the casting vote again.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Down with the King, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's just although I don't kind of think they massively blend on the beat, I think I just prefer the beat on this to the Trends one.
That's fair enough. That's our second track then on the 1993 Dream Team playlist. Run DMC's Down with the King. Deserved spot there. All right, should we get on with the next draw? Larry, we'll do the honours. Number 12, which is Lords of the Underground, Chief Rocker.
Versus number 13.
Which is MC Ren, Same Old Shit. And I would never... It's quite a pairing. Two very different sort of tracks.
I say what I want to say as long as it sounds funky. Some MCs wanted to buy me, so they try to take stands. But they don't understand, I'm the motherfucking man. I amaze and astound. Lift them up and down, smack a few of them around. Let them know who is the gun, who's the tip of the top, the cream of the crop, the best under the sun. I'm the Lord G, Rocker #1, Mr. Funky.
To the shack with the G's, that's mega. Getting drunk, buzzing with Larry Zonka on Sega. Niggas can't take it, always having a fit. Yo, but it's the same old shit.
Same old shit, every day and every night. But when it gets dark, niggas get out of sight. Make sure.
So that's Chief Rocker versus MC Ren. Same old shit. So I'll go first in this one again because Chief Rocker was one that I suggested on the list, and like Off and On, it's one of those kind of 90s anthems. Well, I consider it to be, and a lot of other people in the hip hop world consider these to be kind of big singles at the time, kind of anthems. So yeah, I suggested Chief Rocker because I really liked it at the time. It had regular rotation on MTV, and it's just got a really good energy about it. It's kind of like they've got a really distinctive, energetic rap style. It's very much of its era. There was a lot of groups around like this at the time, like Fushnikins and Hood Rats and all these kind of 93 type groups. But I think they were just slightly a cut above some of those groups. But yeah, what more can I say? I really like this one. I love the pizzicato string sample and the drums. It just kind of gels and works for me. But you don't like it, Steve. Tell me why.
No, I do like it.
Oh, you do like it? Well, you surprised me.
Yeah. I think this is an absolute classic. I think it's got all the ingredients for a classic. Starts really nicely, beautifully produced. I really like the subtle bass line. That kind of does it for me. And I think the rapping's really good. The Chief Rocker actual sample, where does anyone know where that's from? I can't grab it from my memory and work out, and I can't find it online.
Do you feel like you recognise it, kind of what you think you might know, but I don't know. We'll have to look that one up.
It's got Marley Marl on production or mastering as well.
Yeah, they were
huge. So yeah, for me, it's just got all the ingredients to be a classic. I really do like this track, so that might shock you. Yeah,
you have shocked me. Larry, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this track, to be honest, before kind of going into this. It sounds like it sounded to me like it's a little bit. I know it wouldn't be surprised if you told me it was like from 91 rather than 93. It's got a bit of a kind of out of date sounds to it. Sounds quite basic, but it's fine. It's kind of that shouty, energetic kind of rapping that you've just described. It's fine, but I don't think I'd be in a rush to go back and listen to it anytime soon, really.
You're wrong, and you're a grotesquely ugly freak.
I think that's a correct observation for some of the tracks in the 90s.
Yeah.
Some of them want to hark back to early 90s, and some of them are trying to be a bit more progressive.
It's got that
it's a bit of a
91
crossover
energy
kind of year, isn't it? I think
so. Yeah, you've got that kind of what typified a lot of the stuff from the early 90s is that faster tempo. I think it's a lot more energy, and rap seemed to calm down quite a lot from 93 onwards.
I guess it was like the West Coast influence on things, maybe sort of slowing things down.
I saw the
G-funk.
Chronic, and the G-Funk stuff. They saw that was slowing the tempo down, and really kind of high production values and that kind of stuff. It's like something like the Snoop Dogg album from this year sounds really kind of crisp and well produced, and whereas something like this is just a bit more raw, and obviously you've got sort of Wu-Tang this year, which is the epitome of raw, but in a different way. Yeah, the West Coast kind of upped the production game, didn't it? It really gave it more of a polished sound. It really hit hard. And it kind of did expose the East Coast stuff. Even though the East Coast guys, they were kind of going for grimy, they were going for a bit more lo-fi. But Dr. Dre really did shape where hip hop went after this. And talking of the West Coast, then moving on to its match rival in this case, MC Ren, with Same Old Shit. What are we thinking about this one?
Who chose this? I chose it, did it?
Well, it was one that I think we added late because it didn't make the cut first time round. We had to pull some of the other ones.
This is one of my favourite gangster rap tracks ever.
Right.
I think this is just lovely. I love the soulful beat, and it's hardcore to the extreme. MC Ren doesn't hold anything back, with his gangster stuff. And any track that's got a Slick Rick sample on it, I think I'm just gonna love. So this type of shit happens every day.
It's possibly one of the most used lines.
Yeah. Because he's so good.
Yeah.
No, this is like my secret pleasure. I love this track. I shouldn't, because it's just horribly hardcore gangster. But I'm hoping one of you two like it as well to get it into the team.
You want to
I don't know if the listeners could have heard my eyebrows raised when Steve said that it was one of his favourite. I just think it's kind of I haven't got any time for it at all, really. I just think it's a complete plodder.
I thought I might be.
Did you?
And I think I love Ren, but he never could cut it as a solo artist. And the beat is just kind of C tier stuff. And
you didn't have? I've had it in my head that you had a sort of relationship with this back in the day.
I remember you recording at least some tracks.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it Shock of the Hour?
Shock of the Hour, yeah.
What other like it was Mayday?
Mayday on the Front Line, which was also on the CB4 soundtrack.
Right. See that I quite liked, but yeah, I never got into Ren as a solo artiste
because he did Kiss My Black As in '92, just a year before this. This has got some good stuff on it, and then he released this one.
He's not on the same level as he is the other.
No, well, I don't know. I always thought he was.
Back in the day, we used to love Ren, didn't we?
We did.
He was the kind of.
He was the guy.
Even more so than like Ice Cube, maybe.
Yeah, and on NWA's second album, he really comes into his own because he steps up because he knows Ice Cube's gone, so he has to step up his game.
He's like the Fife Dog.
He's like the Fife Dog.
NWA.
He's MVP on NWA's second album. But yeah, so this one. It's very similar to another track that we'll talk about later that will come up by his NWA bandmate Eazy-E. It's just a very sinister sounding G-funk beat, low slung drums, buzzy bass line. It's like proto G-funk. But
who produced this? Because
I think
some of the credits say MC Ren, but then other ones say Tootie, and I've never heard of this before.
He had a string of that sort of second tier West Coast producers like Laylaw and Cold 187 and all that. And yeah, it's a bit amateurish, but it's still got something about it that I always quite like. I tell you what, this is the best track on this Shock of the Hour album. I thought it was a really bad album apart from this one. Yeah. So if this is the best track, maybe that's says all you need to know. But yeah, I do think he's an underrated MC, and I think he does some good storytelling on this track as well in terms of the lyrics. So yeah, not one of the best in '93, but I do think it's worth having on the list and debating.
Yeah,
talking about
MC Ren will be back as well in this
in
Dream
series.
Team series.
Yeah.
I think like Final Frontier will be there. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. All right then, so let's vote on this one, shall we? So we've got Chief Rocker against Same Old Shit. Larry, you go first.
I think for me it'll be Chief Rocker.
Okay.
Same Old Shit for me.
Ooh, I'm going Chief Rocker. I'm afraid, yeah, Chief Rocker is
just more excitement about it, you know.
Yeah,
I can't really argue that. I like both tracks.
No, and there's a bit of a strange pairing as well, you know. But I think
that's what Dream Team's all about.
So yeah, we go. So Chief Rocker wins a place on our playlist. Okay,
I think either of those are going to be pleased to get into the first team, aren't they?
Yeah. Right, let's get on with the next draw. Larry, do the honours.
Number 5.
That is Del the Funky Homo Sapiens Wrong Place off the album No Need for Alarm.
Versus number 10.
Number 10, which is Ghetto Bird by Ice Cube. Another good pairing. Well, I mean, that's a really good pairing, isn't it? Obviously, Del, they're cousins.
They're cousins.
Ice Cube and Del cousins. Yeah, both released albums in '93. So let's.
Tricky,
yeah.
In the wrong place at the wrong time, coming at you in the wrong state of mind. I'm now in a hurry, a power in a flurry, a bullets come speeding by. I needn't die, I gotta make tracks and take back my words. I eat them, cause everybody knows I didn't beat them. Being in the
my homies hit a lick on a trick for a Rolex and let me try the phone next. Now the phone I was driving is hotter than July. Looked up and didn't see a ribbon in the sky. Saw a chopper with
Ice Cube there talking about his problems with the LAPD and their ghetto birds, aka helicopters. Larry, you like this one, I know that.
Yep.
Do you want to give us a bit of a reason why?
Yeah, I just really like this kind of G-funky era Ice Cube. He never sort of quite did a full album of it, but we've spoken before when we did kind of 93 of the original series about you could cobble together from his various kind of albums, singles, compilations and stuff, a nice little sort of G-funky album, and this would be like the centerpiece of it, I think. And that beat is just so fat, and Cube just sounds as good as he ever did. I like it when he's in storytelling mode as well. I haven't got much more to say about it really, because I think we've probably talked about it quite a lot in the original series. But
we had Lethal Injection in there, didn't we?
Lethal Injection is in there. But the one thing I would just like to say about this track is that I don't know if you have this about any tracks, but there's I've got like a specific image in my mind of when he talks about when he goes to his homegirl's house, as he describes it. And he says, all night long I watched the birds circle while I was eating fish and watching Urkel. And I can picture the room exactly as it is, with like the glow of the TV in the corner, the old CRT. Ice Cube's got his feet up, having a plate of fish and chips.
Yeah.
And he's just glancing sort of nervously over to the window every time the helicopter goes over.
Yeah.
That's
It just lives in my mind. That specific image, I'll die with it.
He's painted a picture, isn't he?
He's painted
but
a picture.
what I like is that he's doing that all night.
Yes, all night
so there's
long,
a channel running Urkel repeats all night.
Long.
Somebody keeps bringing in plates of fish.
Fried fish.
All night, and what a night that is for his homegirl as well.
Yeah.
You know,
although he does later say by 5 a.m. I was digging her out. So
I'd have done that first.
Yeah.
and then watch the helicopter.
Well, yeah, but then he's fallen asleep after that, and he's got to be vigilant.
That's true. Yeah,
I reckon by 5 o'clock, like the helicopter's gone, and he's like, I can relax now.
I think so. Yeah, but he's up doing it again the next night probably. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, I love this track. The Lethal Injection album, I've kind of got a sort of strange relationship with. It's amazing in places and an absolute dross.
Very bitty, isn't it?
Yeah, dross in others. It's very bitty. This is one of two tracks off the album that I absolutely love, and it's the two classic G-funky ones. It's You Know How We Do It and Ghetto Bird, both produced by QD3, Quincy Jones's son. Who also did the music for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yep. And
you can really hear that in that sort of G-funky sound. Really love it. One thing I hadn't noticed before I started listening to it for this was the helicopter panning effects that you can hear going through it. It's really nicely done. Great bit of sound design.
Yeah.
And it's the best track on Lethal Injection for me. I think just love it.
I personally would have had You Know How We Do It.
Yeah,
as my pick. I think we would have had a bit of back and forth over which one to
there was some horse
include in this.
Because as you know from previous episodes, Lethal Injection is my gateway into Ice Cube, and this is my favourite Ice Cube album.
Yeah.
And this is my favourite track off that album because I just think it's a classic.
I probably just would have been outvoted by you two then for this, but
I think this has the edge for me.
This is only. It's not kind of far behind, and I'm very happy to have it included.
Yeah.
I love that bass. I love how the bass line at the beginning. I never quite know when the beat, how the beat's going to match up with the bass line. It always wrong foots me a little bit. Even to this day, I'm like, I think I know.
There are loads of tracks like that. They come in without the beat, and it's only when it kicks in that you realise.
I love that kind of thing.
It's an iconic start. I think this is one of those tracks that just the spine starts tingling as soon as you start hearing that bass line. It's just amazing. And I love the ending. I just love the commentary in the ending. The sheriff's ground unit. There's so much this track.
He's acting nonchalant.
He's acting nonchalant.
So good.
It's
love
brilliant.
that. Love that, lads. So let's move on to his cousin then, Del, with Wrong Place, off the album No Need for Alarm. Steve, I know you loved that album.
It's probably worth starting by saying I was disappointed that this was the track that got chosen because it's not one of my favourite off the album.
So how did it end up on the list then?
I think we had to agree on one that we'd all like that have an opportunity to get into the team.
Right.
As far as, it's still a nice.
I think
nice track though.
I think maybe this one got on as a sop towards you having a DJ Shadow track on, and I used that as leverage to get this track from this album.
Got it.
Because this is the only track I like from the album.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah. It's still nice. I mean, it's a nice slow beat, and Del and Ice Cube are two of the best rappers from '93. Del is just a little bit more kind of like conscious with his rapping than his cousin. So I don't think it's going to be Ice Cube, sadly. That's the thing.
No, I had a bit of I never owned this on CD, the album No Need for Alarm, and so I kind of had it on tape at the time. I do like a lot of it. He's got a really unusual production style, and his rapping style is he's always good value no matter what he's on. Del's just an absolute great rapper. But
it's quite distinctive.
It's very distinctive. His flow and wordplay are always great. But I find this. And the album, actually, the production on it, the beats, they're all very unique. Like none of the samples have ever been used elsewhere. He tailors the sound into something very unique. But it was just one of those albums where it just felt the same all the way through. Nothing really stood out. And Wrong Place, unfortunately, just kind of fell into that kind of that feeling. So
I think the album is just such a departure from I Wish My Brother George was here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got that on my
You
notes.
just kind of want it to be more of that. And to Del's credit, he never kind of sticks with the same thing twice. He does move with the times and kind of tries out different sounds with different producers and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why he's still like relevant today. Like both, making sort of like pop bangers with, like Gorillaz and still doing like really good underground hip hop.
Yeah.
I think just like talking about, you mentioned like how his voice is, his flow and everything. I think he's got one of those. He's got such a musical voice.
Yeah, he's natural.
Like even when he's just to listen to him in an interview, he's like one of these rappers like Snoop or someone like that, who you like just listening to them talk is almost like listening to a rap. It's just such a musical, like really nice, rich kind of tone voice that just so many of these rappers like have really laid back. But for me, I really, really love the main sample on this, which is I didn't know what it was until today, but it's a BT Express track.
Right.
And the reason I love it so much is because the original track is quite a lot faster than this. This is pitched down by quite a few semitones, and just the way that, like, the artifacts that you get through that 12-bit kind of sampler just makes it sound sounds almost like juicy and moist to me.
Yeah, it's quite sexual imagery.
Yeah, it's got like a wet kind of sound to it that I just really love. Don't know how to describe it other than that, really, but just a juicy kind of sounding track, and the drums are lovely and crunchy as well, sort of matches it really nicely. It baffles me a bit how you sort of don't like it more, to be honest, but there are plenty of tracks where I'm on the other end of that. So
it's got all the ingredients. It's just got all the ingredients. It's just how some tracks just don't jump out at you like they should. All right then, well, let's vote. So I'm going to go for Ice Cube. I think that's pretty clear.
Yep.
Steve?
Ice Cube, centre forward.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd like to kind of give it to Del, I think it has to go to Cube.
Yeah.
Really.
I think so. I think it's pretty clear cut.
Who's the better rapper out of Del and Ice Cube?
I think Del's a better rapper. But
that's a hard one.
What's your criteria for better? That's the thing.
Obviously, Cube's had. I think if you put their bodies of work side by side, I mean,
Ice Cube would be top.
I think you would have to say Ice Cube is top, even just for his first kind of three albums. Even though Del is I'd still much rather listen to a new Del album than a new Ice Cube album.
Ice Cube is probably a top 10 rapper, and Del's probably a top 20 rapper.
Right.
But in my opinion.
But surely Del's a more technical rapper. Like if we're talking about, he's more technical. His wordplay is better.
Yeah.
And like that flow and the sort of the musicality in his voice. Ice Cube is more of a meat and potatoes rapper. He's
quite clever as
he's
well.
not very dexterous when he raps.
He's just more gangster. His content's probably not as lyrically conscious as
well.
I don't know about that. He doesn't just rap about nothing, does he, Cube? It's not kind of just thugged out either. Like something like on like all of his albums really. He's talking about interesting and important stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Del is one of the great kind of underrated rappers. I think.
Underrated, definitely.
Yeah, he is to rapping what Q-Tip is to production.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So on that note, a great victory then for Ice Cube.
Yep.
That's our first 3-0, I think, as well.
Yeah.
A big cheer there for Ice Cube's Ghetto Bird. All right, let's get on with the next match. This is match number 5, I believe, and Larry is digging in the crates for the next number.
22.
Steve.
But who's 20?
Number 20 is the Notorious B.I.G. Party and Bullshit
versus 22.
22, which is Wu-Tang Clan Cream, the New York battle royale between two of the greatest artists.
There's going to be some
and groups of all time
coming up.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, this is going to be big. So let's listen to both of those right now.
Said he had beef, asked me if I had my piece. Sure do, 220.
For cracks and weed, the combination made my eyes bleed.
No question, I will flow off and try to get the dough off. Sticking up white boys on ballboards. My life got no better. Same damn low sweater. Times is rough and tough like leather. Figured out I went the wrong rap.
So yeah, that Wu-Tang Clan's Cream, Cash Rules Everything Around Me against Party and Bullshit by Notorious B.I.G. Larry, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, what any track in particular first? Or
let's go Wu-Tang. Let's get straight in there.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about this track? Really, it's a bit immortal. I think one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
You know, like the piano, the chorus, like all the quotables on the verses.
So many
it was,
quotables.
You know, an early introduction to Wu-Tang. You know, Raekwon in particular, it is great. And it's just easy to forget like how original this stuff was back when it came out. And I admit, I think I've said this before, I didn't really get into Wu-Tang initially because it was so far removed from what I was into at the time, which was like all the G-funk kind of sound. And I just did not understand the griminess of this and the lyrics that sort of still don't make a lot of sense to me, but definitely didn't then. And they sounded nothing like, you know, you could not be further removed from the sort of G-funk rappers, could you, with Wu-Tang? But yeah, that's all I've got to say about it, really. It's great. I think like the concept, like the Cream concept is brilliant. Like and Method Man's chorus is one of the all-time great hip hop.
He sounds
choruses.
so good. His voice is another one, isn't he? What I was saying earlier, he's just so melodic and sing-songy, just very recognisable as well.
Yeah. So Steve, I'm presume you're very excited to see this one on the list.
Well, yeah, I just agree with everything that Larry said, and I think it'd be really interested to try to compare the two verses because Ray absolutely does smash the first verse, and then Inspector Deck actually does the same on the second, and there's just so many quotables in both of them. You know, life is a shorty, shouldn't be so rough. Will I be living proof to kick the truth to young black youth? I think this is just rapping on another level, and I definitely agree. It's hard to distinguish what they're talking about sometimes.
You've got to feel bad for Deck.
Yeah.
Like he is the forgotten man of this group.
Yeah.
And he is no slouch.
I think he's let down by some of the production on his solo albums. You know, almost if he'd have come out first with some of that amazing RZA production, I think he'd be.
Yeah. Well, I think this probably, is that I think there's like a reason that he never had a solo record in this initial batch of Wu-Tang. I'm not quite sure why that is, but just what might have been if he was like if he had an album out in that original run. Yeah. Because he's just so underserved. Yeah. I think like everyone, I barely even think of him as like a mainline Wu-Tang member.
No.
But he is in that original lineup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he is no worse really than any of them in his own way.
And they're all responsible for elevating rap to another level, above what Ice Cube, KRS-One and Snoop were doing in this year. I like the video for this as well. It's just that's another like iconic video. Just seeing that on MTV Raps is just brilliant as well. So do you like this one, Danny?
I mean, I like it. Yeah. I mean, I don't see a world where this couldn't be considered one of the best tracks or in any best of lists for 1993. I just think it's just an undeniable stone cold classic. Yeah. It's a Hall of Fame hip hop track, iconic. But yeah, I mean, I was never the biggest fan of Wu-Tang like you, Larry. When they first came out, I didn't quite get it. It took me a while to readjust. I completely recognise their place in hip hop and how great they are and amazing they are, and how they took lyricism and RZA took production to another level. It just never quite resonated with me quite in the way it seems to with everybody else.
Yeah.
But having said that, I love this track. I love the sample. It's absolutely textbook RZA, textbook Wu-Tang, soul loop, and their voices are just so iconic on every level. You just know them when you hear them, and it's storytelling of the highest order. So I think of that album, I think this is quite possibly the best track on 36 Chambers.
Yeah.
And I there's no way it could not make our playlist.
It's not my favourite track on them, but I think it is the the most recognisably best track.
Yeah,
if that
and
makes sense.
like Larry says, the concept of Cream, Cash Rules, everything around me is just genius.
Yeah.
Jizza.
It's the kind of thing. It's like, you know, some things in rap transcend the genre, and I think that's probably one where Pete just not necessarily the average man on the street, but a lot of people outside of hip hop would know that kind of Cream.
Yeah.
In the same way they might know Sound of the Police.
Yeah. I mean, they'll see it on T-shirts in market stalls, all that sort of stuff. It's just Wu-Tang's everywhere. So yeah, I agree. All right, so
I also, it's going to sound like a scratch record, but I also love the start on this track as well.
Yes.
It's a nice slow start, and there's samples come through.
And he almost uses a
beat
different.
drops.
It is a different
bit, doesn't
I think it's a different part. Is it the same track that they sample? Or it's certainly a completely different section.
There's something else going on. It's to me, it's a different section of the same track. I don't know it well enough to know, but it's just he's messing around with it at the beginning. He kind of got that kind of almost amateurish start. And then it comes in, and you're like, oh, here we go. Brilliant.
Absolutely genius.
All right then. Well, I don't think it's. So I think we need to move on to Notorious B.I.G.
This is like Ronaldo versus Messi, Wu-Tang Clan versus Notorious B.I.G.
It is, but I think it's Notorious B.I.G. with an injury. Because this isn't.
Well, this is his first one of his first singles before.
I think
he
it is the
released
first
Ready to
single,
Die.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
He like guested on stuff.
Yeah,
guested on stuff like Dolly My Baby by Supercat and things like that, and that's kind of where he came in. But this was his first single, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the Who's the Man soundtrack, which is obviously 93. But so I say it's like him with an injury because it's not one off Ready to Die, obviously, which is his next year. That would be that sort of matchup. But this is him just pre Ready to Die, so it's not quite fully formed Biggie.
Well, but I think like it's a really simple beat that allows him to come to the forefront, so you can just focus on him. And probably the only criticism, it does sound like he's maybe freestyling rather than actually this is something he's thought really carefully about and wants it to be on an album. Yeah. I don't know.
It's definitely got a sort of freestyle kind of feel to it.
Fairly freestyle.
And it's got a youthful energy about it, more so than his latest stuff. He sounds younger. He sounds a bit more kind of
amped up, hungry.
Just to remember what an incredible wordsmith and voice he was or is. He's phenomenal.
And even early Biggie just blows most people from 93 away. It's just outstanding.
The worst Biggie tracks are still better than most other people.
As we found with our Life After Death episode. And also a word about the beat as well, an Easy Mo B production. Easy Mo B is one of those kind of unsung hip hop heroes. He's had so many classics. I think I've said it on previous episodes. But
it's worth saying again.
There were so many bangers he's produced, and this is just another one of them.
However, the annoying thing, and I sound like a scratch record again, is that Daddy whispering all the way through it, and it's
even on this one,
it's a bit. Yes, isn't it just mainly towards the end? I thought
in every chorus is. I think I'm maybe just more sensitive to it because I wonder if
so much. I wonder if one of the benefits of the AI revolution is that it will just be able to strip all of the bad boy stuff of like Puff Daddy in the background,
like a Puff Daddy setting.
Oh, that would be so good. You could do that. These days,
Chat PD.
You could do it.
In fact, it's got that bad boy sample from this one. This is where it gets that "I'm a bad boy."
Yeah.
Pushing this track.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope, Larry, can't we, that technology will make that possible.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe I'll get the old True Score engineers onto it.
Yeah.
See what they can come up with.
I'm sure they'll be all over that. So this feels like a bit of a formality, but we're going to vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. 3-0 Cream.
Yep.
3-0 Cream.
I think so. I mean, I haven't actually spoken about the Biggie track personally, but I don't have much to say to it really, other than it's a proper head nodder. Obviously, he sounds incredible on it. But I, at the risk of having to kind of hand in my hip hop membership card, I never really knew it until we started looking at it for this. I'd heard of it.
It didn't appear very readily until
sort of the internet age.
Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty similar. I didn't come to it until quite late. So yeah, fair enough. But it's academic anyway because Cream's he's on the playlist. Well done to Raekwon and all the boys, all the lads down there at Wu-Tang FC for getting on the playlist. All right, let's get on with the next draw then. Larry, do the honours. I'm
going to call this number 6 Could be number
Okay.
9.
Number
but-
6, that is, a big one. DJ Shadow Entropy,
Versus number 8.
which is Fat Joe the Gangsta, Flow Joe. So let's have a listen to those.
Who is he? Who the fuck I am? The one, the only. DJ Shadow. Tell him who the fuck I am.
I want you to meet the baddest motherfucker in town.
Tell him who the fuck I am. The producing genius of
Coco, yo, I'm not a slowbo. Got so much dough, I vacate in Acapulco. Crazy as they come, I'm not the one. We can do this with the hands or take it to the guns. You know, I can flow. The name is Fat Joe. I can flow, I can flow, I can flow. You gotta flow, Joe.
Okay, that's Flow Joe versus Entropy. Right, should we start with DJ Shadow? Let's get
Yes.
that out of the way. The elephant in the room, Steve.
Getting evil looks here because neither of you two think this is actually a hip hop album. So I've tried to like in my notes think of a way to convince you that it's hip hop. So here we go. It's got a hip hop beat.
Yep.
Check.
It's got sampling.
Yep.
Check.
It's got in the sampling it references hip hop quite a lot, just like in the what they say.
Check.
And that's about it really.
Crucially, though, no rapping.
Yeah.
And for that reason, you get a...
Well, that's bang out of order.
Yeah, but it's.
But tell us why you wanted it on here. Go on. No, you're not
Because
serious.
I think like I'm not into trip hop, but this is an album that I reckon most hip hop fans would own and appreciate and like enjoy listening to. Like the drum work on this is just insane. It's impossible to put this on and not enjoy it. The number of samples that he must have like worked into this is just insane as well. I know I'm not going to convince you to, so I think I'm just going to kind of get out there and just.
You might not be able to convince us, but let's go over to Kevin Keegan just to check what he thinks of it, shall we?
I've kept really quiet, but I'll tell you something. He went down in my estimation when he said that.
Harsh words from Kevin Keegan there.
I thought he was only allowed to say one
well,
thing.
he's allowed commentary. Punditry is fine, but that's about it.
Yeah, all right, I'll shut up now.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, I will give you one thing. The drums are great.
They're insane.
They're insane. They're really good. Big, which is what made me call it, which I thought it was like more of a big beat track, like a Fatboy Slim type thing, rather than a hip hop
Definitely
track.
not
Because it's like it's got that big beat energy, big drums with some scratches and all sorts of samples. I don't know, but then we're going to start having to have Fatboy Slim tracks on our playlist. So
no, that is going to the extreme.
But yeah, it doesn't resonate with me as a hip hop track. But I do appreciate the production, and I think it's got a nice energy about it. But in terms of it's got no real, it's just drums and snippets. Am I right?
Yeah, drums and a bit of scratching on it. I mean, I will say, like, the drums are the star here, aren't they? That's all it is really. And I would go so far as to say that they are incredible drums, and not just that, but by far the best drums, like, of all of the tracks that we're talking about today. They're just like so beyond everything else. Really kind of it's elevating the art form, but
the art form of hip hop
of hip hop, like
but trip hop.
I think it's definitely hip hop, but what we're doing here, I think, it's stuff with rapping on it as well is what belongs in sort of these competitions. And for that reason, I just want to make a comment that this could be so much more. Like, imagine taking these drums, adding some instrumentation to it, and a really incredible rapper, and then you would have one of the tracks of the year then. Like that could be absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
But it just seems I kind of get that it's allowed to exist in its own right as a bit of kind of cut and paste kind of deep, like, turntablism kind of thing, and that's fine. But it could also it could really serve a rapper incredibly with a bit more kind of to it.
So, who would be the best rapper to appear
I don't know, really.
on a Shadow track?
Just kind of anyone. Not anyone, but I don't know. Like, I guess there'll be plenty of rappers from that camp, wouldn't they? Like that like Lyrics and
Gift
or
of
late
Gab and
whatever
stuff,
they're called,
yeah.
Gift of Gab, all that kind of lot. None of which I'm not a fan of any of that really, but just take any rapper, any kind of established rapper from 1993, put him on top of this with some instrument with a real nice bass line on it or something. That'd just be like an immense.
You got yourself a banger.
It's another thing for AI. What I would say, I think, to anyone that's listening that hasn't listened to this album, to Introducing, it's one you've got to listen to.
Is it on it? Because I couldn't see it on Introducing. I had to get it off a Soul Sides.
Yeah, this is just a single, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the point stands.
It's a 95.
It's on that Greatest Bumps.
Check out DJ Shadow if you're into your kind of instrumental, trip hop, big beat sort of music. Is what you're saying?
No. Just listen to Introducing because it's classic.
Classic
for any music lover.
Fair enough. You've heard the man. Okay, let's move over to Fat Joe the Gangsta then on his single Flow Joe, produced by Diamond D. You feeling this one, Larry?
I mean, I never had any interaction with Fat Joe back in the day. Just one of these rappers that kind of passed me by.
Not the far
I
side.
only ever had the crumbs off your table, Danny, really, in terms of what you would dub me from CD, and Fat Joe was just never one of them.
Right.
I think he's got a great voice and delivery, but kind of ultimately find this one a bit of a plodder, really.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's
I think I'd agree with that. I mean, this is his debut single, and you can't go wrong with a Diamond D beat, can you? It's just that lovely East Coast sound, and he does exactly what it says on the tin. He flows really nicely. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, it's a bit of a plodder. There's nothing that would make you want to keep coming back to this one.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. But as a rapper, I think it plods along. He's a very, like I said a minute ago, he's a very meat and potatoes rapper, Fat Joe. He's like line, rhyme the words at the end. And he's got a very kind of plodding style. But I think the beat, Diamond D's beat, that sample combined with those drums, and those drums are huge.
Yeah.
And I just think the whole thing kind of works together. Like, it's not wow, it's not blow you away, but I just think there's something about the production and Fat Joe's style on this beat works really well, I think.
Where's the sample from?
I don't know.
I know it.
Yeah.
Like, I know it, but I can't
Earth,
quite.
Wind and Fire sample on there.
Is it?
Devotion.
It's a great sample, whatever it is. And it's just, I mean, on the album, it's one of the better tracks. The album's a bit kind of pedestrian, let's say, and there's some good stuff on it. It's all the digging in the crates, people, showbiz and all that, but this is one of the standouts. All right, shall we vote then? And move on. Well, I'm going to go for Fat Joe. It's obviously the one that I know best, and it's actual hip hop. Larry, which one are you going to vote for?
I think I'm going to have to go for Fat Joe the Gangster as well.
Yeah, and Steve.
And because he's a gangster as well.
Well, that's
well, also he's fat. He'd make a really good centre back.
Yeah. Put him at the back.
Where does he stand in the sort of pantheon of fat gangsters? You know, what you've got? Who else? You've got Al Capone. Is he fat?
You got him. You got Big Pun. There's Biggie.
No, but like an actual gangsters as well.
Gangsters.
Oh, okay. Fat Tony, you've got, haven't you?
Tony. Fatty Arbuckle, was he a gangster?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Any of your listeners out there want to write in with their recommendations for fat gangsters, please drop us a line on Instagram or X at Hip Hop World Cup. Okay, so
I'm going to vote for DJ Shadow.
You're going to vote for DJ Shadow. Yeah. That's no surprise there. So that's a 2-1 victory for Fat Joe.
I tell you what, Fat Joe is bloody lucky to get into the team, isn't he?
He is. He's going to be blowing a bit, isn't he? He's going to be out of breath quite quickly, but he's going to have to do something. He'll be like a sweeper.
I never thought he'd make the 11, so fair play to him.
Well done, Fat Joe. So you get one of these. Right, moving swiftly on to the next draw, Larry.
It's number 14.
Number 14 is Original Flavour, Can I Get Open? Versus
Numero Uno,
which is Tupac, Point The Finga. Let's have a listen to both of those.
Hey y'all, can I get open? You know it. You wanna fly style? Tease about the show it. Holy cow, what can you do now when I flip the style? Girls are like, ooh, chow. I'm living dangerous, so now the stranger is living the lifestyle of a bad, rich and famous kid. When I get poor, baby, poor, better parlay.
They saw my picture for the crimes of another guy. Now how's that for the life of a big shot? A dead cop, a lawsuit, a little kid shot. I play them nothing ass marks in the park, but trying to earn their stripes in the dark. Just cause I come there don't mean I'm from there, peace. Only jealous motherfuckers.
Okay, that's Tupac versus Original Flavour. Steve, I know Tupac is somebody very, very close to your heart.
He's one of my favourites.
You've struggled to get him on our album episodes over the years, and now you finally got him into one of our episodes.
Yep.
So talk us through why you chose this one.
Yeah, I need to.
But first of all, just a bit of advice from Roy.
Let's not take the piss here.
Off you go.
So, yeah, this is a track I've been in love with since I first heard it. It's I just love the rumbly bassy sound to it. It's almost like a little bit like dancey or ravey, which I was also into like that ravey sound at the time as well. And the rapping from Tupac is just classic Tupac. It's political. He sounds good. He's got that kind of aggressiveness to him that I like. So this is another one of my favourite tracks that's made it into the 93 playlist. Just hoping one of you two will give it some recognition. Looking at both blank faces.
Well, I'll go next because I'm worried that I'm going to feel the way I feel about this one and the way that you feel about Original Flavour. And I can already feel it coming. But so Tupac. So this was an album strictly for my ends that I used to really like. I used to listen to it quite a lot. I loved it. But this wasn't one of my favourites from
I
it.
didn't think it would be,
because for some reason I don't like that bass line. I don't like that chorused bass line. It never really resonated with me. I've always found it a little bit irritating, and this wasn't one of my favourites. I wouldn't skip it, but it certainly wasn't one I loved. I do, however, like the crisscross sample because I was kind of more into crisscross. I was really into crisscross at the time.
They were big.
Yeah, they were huge, and so I like that. And don't get me wrong, it's a good track. He's really urgent, good message. Another really good political message on it. But yeah, it's quite far down in my ranking, I'm afraid.
What about you, Larry?
I mean, I know that I always kind of get into this kind of thing, so I try not to spend too much time on it, but it's just like the mix kind of ruins it for me. I think like the bass line, I really like the bass line, but it's too loud. And the vocals aren't loud enough. And like Tupac, like later on in his career, he was really famous for kind of having like these kind of auto double tracked like vocals that just sounded amazing. And I don't know, I'm tempted to use like a mastering tool that I've got to just make my own version of this track where the bass line's just a little bit lower in the mix and the vocals are higher. Like I could literally do that, and I think it would sound. I think I'd like it a lot more because it is a really good track. Other than that, but yeah, it's just the bass line just kind of overwhelms everything.
Yeah, I'd go along. Maybe that was what it was that annoyed me about it. It was too loud in the mix.
It's got that kind of really classic kind of Tupac energy. But yeah, it just the mix lets it down basically, I think.
Yeah, so there's loads of really good ingredients to it, just never resonated. Yeah. So moving on to Original Flavour, I better obviously give you some context into why I wanted to include this one. Again, it's another one similar to Chief Rocker. It's kind of got that pizzicato string sample, good energy, good drum sampling. And I just love it. It was a kind of regular rotation on MTV, made me want to buy the album, which I actually really liked, although it didn't make much noise in the hip-hop scene, really. And a couple of notable things about Original Flavour. First of all, this was the first time I ever heard Jay-Z. He features on this track, so he's got a really nice verse on this. First time I ever heard him. This is pre-Reasonable Doubt, obviously. And also it's produced by Ski, who went on to produce for Jay-Z, Dead Presidents, and loads of other really great tracks, including Camp Low, a bit later in the 90s. So, yeah, I really liked it. I like the energy, and their rapping style. It's a bit cartoony again. It's a bit Fushnikins. It's a bit kind of up-tempo, Lords of the Underground. But I like that, and it was very 93, and I was just into that at the time. What more can I tell you?
The only thing I can add to that is I think when I listen to this track, I'm just waiting for Jay-Z to come on.
Right.
Because he's just so much better than the other rappers. His wordplay and his cadence, and he does show off his kind of like skill and speed, so you can see why Ski was like, I probably want to work with him. And on Reasonable Doubt. The other rap is okay, but I just can't ever get back past the fact that let's just wait till Jay gets on.
Yeah. Larry, you're indifferent to this one. Why?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of you surprised me when you say that Jay-Z's on it, because I just didn't get that far in, like into the track to
Larry,
hear it.
that deserves a.
Let's not take the piss here.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard it before today, and it's fine, but I've got no desire to kind of hear it again.
It's a classic, one of those random Danny tracks, isn't it?
Yeah, random. This is exactly what worried me about this new format that we're doing here, is that I would put tracks in there that you just wouldn't understand.
I like this track.
And
it's going to stay on a playlist.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I get it. And this is what this is all about. You know, we're bringing stuff to the table, stuff we liked, and arguing our case for it. And yeah, it's good stuff. But,
yeah, I couldn't really bring myself to find anything interesting to say about it, really.
Yeah, fair enough. So, should we vote on it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go for what was the other one?
Tupac. Come on. It's like the best, one of the best tracks in this whole year.
Yeah, sorry, my mind went blank there for a minute. I'm going to go for original flavour. Obviously, it's my track, close to my heart. Original flavour. Can I get open, Steve?
Let me go for Tupac then. So let's give Larry the casting vote once again.
I think I'm going to have to go for Pac on this one.
Yes, get in there. He's made it.
To be honest, that doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. I never thought original flavour would get a place on the team. I'm grateful they even got a place on the squad.
It could have got through if it came up against maybe one or two other tracks, but
yeah. All right, so that's another spot on our playlist filled by Tupac. Steve, you finally got him on, getting him the recognition that you feel he deserves.
He does. He's a goat.
Cool. Right, come on, let's go on with the next match then. We're going back into the bowl, Larry.
Number 18.
Number 18 is Spice One, Trigger Got No Heart.
We'll play number 16.
Number 16 is Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice. Let's have a listen.
Release the trigger as I burn off the liquor. Nina put a cease on his Timex ticker, and the prayers he can't give me no love, cause I'm stuck on the corner in the ghetto slanging dub sex, and I duck when they fly by, cause killer
smoke an ounce to this. G's up, hoes down. Why you motherfuckers bounce to this? Rolling down the street, smoking in out, sipping on gin and juice. Laid back.
With my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Rolling down the street, smoking.
So, Steve, I know your mind's on your money and your money's on your mind.
I'm so pleased these two came up against each other, because in my mind, the best track of the year against the worst track that we selected, and it's probably. I think, Larry, this was your pick, wasn't it, to have Spice One on here? But
yeah,
for me, it doesn't even sound like a 93 track. It sounds like it should be like 1990 at the latest. I think Spice One is I don't really know what his USP is, because he's not that good at rapping. I don't know how he's managed to like have so many albums. There's nothing about the production that interests me, but I'm interested to know why you like it, Larry. Like, genuinely interested, because it's, for me, it's a track that just turns me off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not like the biggest Spice One fan or anything. There's this track, and then there are a few tracks from
187 He Wrote.
From 187 He Wrote, which I really love. This one I heard because there's a few tracks this year actually that fall into this category where I hadn't been listening to a lot of hip hop. I was more into sort of like hardcore and rave and stuff at the time. But Danny did me a hip hop mixtape, which I remember very clearly.
Yeah.
Loads of the tracks are on there, and this was one of them. And I've just
more
loved
sense
it
now,
since
yeah.
day one. Like he's not the kind of. He's a bit of an also ran when you sort of put him in the pantheon of kind of gangster rappers.
Yeah.
But it's just I love the production on this for starters. I just love the piano. I just love that piano.
Yeah.
Like the strings I love. They're just so emotive, and that little kind of high pitched synth noise that kind of snakes in and out of it
Instantly makes it a kind of a G-funk.
Yeah,
But for 93, and then you compare it straight away to Gin and Juice.
It does sound a bit old fashioned. I'll give you that much, but I just think it's really atmospheric, really kind of emotive. Great use of of gunshot sounds in there as well. I prefer like the other version of this, like the dirty version, basically.
Yeah, I thought I'd better include this one. But.
Yeah, I kind of get why you've done it, but like when you've got tracks like this, it just seems so silly to kind of cut out like cursing from it when it's the kind of subject matter,
especially when it's on the soundtrack of a film like Menace to Society, which is so inherently kind of offensive,
glorifying of this
violent.
vibe,
What's the point of having a radio-friendly one? But there you go.
Yeah.
So it's your fault that Larry likes this.
Well, it is, but I have to say I like it as well. I advocated to have this on the list as well. I loved it. My first exposure to it was on the Menace to Society soundtrack, and then it appeared on his album 187 he wrote, and I just love how the sort of musicality and the drama of it in the beat. I think it's maybe what's fooling you into thinking it's sort of old-fashioned is maybe that drum loop. It's quite a simple drum loop. It's not really it's quite simple, but
it's his rapping as well. His rapping is very simple.
It was just it's the soulfulness and the musicality to it that I loved. And I'm not the biggest Spice One fan either. My appreciation for him doesn't go any further than this and that album really. And there's only a couple of tracks on that album, like Running Out the Crack House, which is really good. But I just felt it was one of my favourites from this year. I think it deserves a place on there. So,
but it cannot touch Gin and Juice, which is just
that's its downfall.
Track.
It's come up against the monster of Gin and Juice, which
the beast of this year.
What I can't help but think that Gin and Juice must have been a bit of a compromise
I think it
to
was.
have on from this album.
Yeah,
I think we probably all had different favourites.
Yeah, in fact, in my notes, we could have picked so many off of Doggy Style, but it wouldn't have been my number one choice at all.
Do you remember what we did? I think I probably chose Doggy Dog World.
Right. What would you have gone for? Gin and Juice?
I think I would have gone for this shit. I think this is maybe universally accepted. As
I think we did this to placate you.
The biggest single.
Yeah.
It got to like number 8 on the Billboard charts and stuff, so it is massive.
You could argue for so many tracks. Like, I mean, it kind of feels daft that like, Who Am I?
Yeah.
What's My Name? We're not talking about that. Because is there a bigger track from '93 than that?
I'm not sure. I mean, it was the lead single, wasn't it? It was the first track we all heard off of Doggy Style.
Yeah.
And it was I think I might have told this story before, but when they used to play it on MTV Raps, I held my stereo with a condenser mic up to the speaker of my TV to record it on, so I had it on tape.
Right.
I mean, that's the extent I went to. This is obviously just before it came out, and then when it was available, I ordered it from King Cuts, who used to advertise in Hip Hop Connection.
Yeah.
And the wait for that CD in the post.
I remember the day you got it.
Unbearable. Yeah. And the day it arrived, I come home and it was there. And
your mum used to put it in
she
the window.
She used to put it in the window. I'd see it when I come home. And oh my God, that was an unbearable wait. But the minute it arrived, I was so happy, and I was not disappointed. This one, obviously being a single, you hear it a lot. It was played loads. It's just sort of one of those sort of almost Shook One levels kind of familiarity.
It is, definitely.
And an iconic status. And I think that might be why I wouldn't have chosen it, because my personal favourite off this album is Ain't No Fun. That's just me. So yeah, but 100% deserves a place on the squad and the team for me, and I think it's a nice compromise track to have.
Yeah,
we've talked about this track before, and I think the only thing that would improve it is if it had Nate Dogg in the chorus instead of, I think it's Sean Barney Thomas.
Right. Yeah, I'd go along with that. But I think it's just legendary.
Yeah, it's fine as it is. I couldn't really find anything to say about it really.
Class, isn't it?
It's class.
Class all round. Class production.
Great production.
Snoop
great use of the
at his best.
I Get Lifted sample. Dre production's brilliant. Just absolute stone cold classic. So we're going to bother to vote, or we
3-0 again, surely.
Yes, 3-0 for me.
Oh,
here we go.
Don't. Surely not.
Well,
I definitely going to lose your membership.
Well, look,
given
that it's a foregone conclusion, I'm gonna put in a late kind of goal for Spice One, just for the hell of it, because why not?
No, that's fair enough.
Why did that get a round of applause?
Just because the magnanimous way he's given Spice One a vote, just to give him encouragement for when he tries to get back on the team in future.
Yes,
there is
a place for you somewhere on a Dream Team mixtape. I think
he's going to go out on loan basically now.
Yeah,
build up his skills, come back. Maybe he'll get on some sort of future episode that we do. Okay, so that's another one. Snoop Dogg.
Do you know there's some giants still left in here? They're going to come.
Yeah, I can quite imagine. So yeah, Snoop Dogg earns a place on the team.
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Snoop Doggy Dogg. Sorry, yes, this was pre the name change, pre Snoop Lion. Larry. Next number.
It's number 7.
That is Eazy-E, Real Motherfucking G's versus
number 7.
7.
Number 19.
7 was Eazy-E versus 19 is the Beatnuts, No Equal. So Eazy-E versus the Beatnuts. Let's have a listen to those.
Motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Death Row. Yo, and here comes my left blow. Cause I'm the E-A-Z-Y-E, and this is the season to let the real motherfucking G's in. You're like a kid, you found a puppy, now you're dapper. But tell me where the fuck you found the anorexic.
See, the days of paying dues is over. I'm a little fed up, and it's time that I show ya. We battle one time, you're dead, no sequel.
Yo, Mike, and my Mike, come on, yo, no equal.
You know we're number one, competition is none. You know we're number one, competition.
Okay, Eazy-E versus the Beatnuts, East versus West. Larry, I'm going to let you go first. We start with Eazy-E.
Eazy-E, yeah. I think like the beat on this is just so well matched to the lyrical content.
Yeah.
Like the production is genius. I've written here the oral equivalent of creeping round in the shadows of a Compton back alley.
Yeah, I like that.
Like the tempo, the sinister bass line, like the 808 kick and that classic West Coast like reverby rim shot.
Yeah.
Just give it like an unnatural kind of nightmarish feel. And like that, I never really noticed it actually until today, but like the whispering from the beginning, like that's in there all throughout,
all the way.
And especially, but like when you're listening on headphones, it just gives you the kind of vibe that it's like a subliminal reminder that someone's like after you, basically. Like Eazy-E's out to get Dr. Dre,
Snoop Dogg.
I love the gunshot sounds in there. Yeah, just as we mentioned when we spoke about it originally, just the whole theme of going after Dr. Dre, like going after his manhood, basically saying you're not like you're just acting hard on tape, like we're the real deal. It's like BG Knockout and Gangsta Dre still like genuine gangsters, like fresh out of the pen when they kind of came to do this. I've seen like interviews with them, and I think they were just kind of asked, "Can you do this diss track?" That they had no beef with.
That's
Snoop
what I was going to ask you. That I said,
what jumped on it?
What did Dre ever do to them? It's like it's like when the bully at school or whatever, rolling around with his cronies, and they just beat everybody up.
I think this is just their chance to get on, basically.
Exactly.
And they went for it.
Dress the Ghost wrote Eazy's verses as well.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't surprise me. I love Drester's verse. Like it's got like you cut it out just when it was about to say it. But one of my favourite things on there is favourite insults of all time is where he says about Snoop Dogg, "Tell me where the fuck you found an anorexic rapper."
Yeah,
who weighs 60 pounds and wearing boots.
Yeah, there's so many great zingers in all the way through. I think
it is one of the best diss tracks.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the all-time greatest diss tracks because it's so savage.
And it's not just saying to Dre, "You're a fake gangster." It's also saying, "You can make as many tracks about me as you like. I get paid."
I'm still getting paid
because he had this kind of shady contract to get him out of like the ruthless contract or whatever onto death row.
Yeah,
Eazy-E was getting a chunk of every Dr. Dre track. That is just, there's an evil genius to that.
I think there's
and then to tell him about, then to use that against him on his track using his own musical style.
That is what gives this another dimension. I think like most diss tracks are very clear. One rapper doesn't like another. This has got extra stuff underneath. I really felt the hatred, and like it's just because of the marriage of the angry, savage lyrics, but also that beat, like you said, your imagery earlier on about it, what the beat sounds
creepy,
like. Creepy. It's one of them. I reckon this is the most sinister sounding hip hop track I've ever heard. I love it. I think it's produced by Cold 187 and like a lot of the other ones on this on that EP. And that EP is a weird curio as well. It's amazing.
I love it.
But and the fact he actually name checks Dr. Dre in the title of the EP and all that stuff. It's got a sticker on it that says contains no material by Dr. Dre. They had to go to such pains because his name's on it. It's a weird project.
That picture
but that's why
Dexter wiggle.
And that's why I love it so much. It's just such a weird museum piece from hip hop. So I've got this at the very top of my ranking. It's my favourite track from '93.
Do you remember you actually gave this to me on a mixtape? This like cemented my love for hip hop. It's just such an earworm, and I'd never heard anything like it. Particularly the start where you get that like hard bass and that weird like percussion at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's just
that effect.
So unusual. But love it. Absolutely amazing.
It's really inventive.
I think the way the guest rappers are on there as well, like laid the foundations for future diss tracks, like with Tupac and having like the Outlaws on on Hit 'Em Up.
Yeah.
Brilliant track.
So I think we all love that one. So on the flip side, the Beat Nuts, No Equal. I'm going to admit I wasn't overly familiar with this one, but it might surprise you because you know how much I love the Beat Nuts. I love the Beat Nuts, but I got into them with their full album in '94, and I kind of never had the EP. The Intoxicated
This is a pretty
Demons.
Obscure kind of import at the time, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Like
Yeah,
is it
Intoxicated Demons? Yeah. I think one of the tracks made its way onto the album, but I never had any of these, so I came to them later. But hearing them, they are very much in the same vein as the album that I love. It's that same production style, very jazzy. And it's great. It's just a great track, great use of Rakim on the hook. And so it's actually higher on my ranking than a lot of the other ones I didn't know, just because it's the Beat Nuts and because it really appeals to me.
Where did it make it on your ranking?
13th.
Interest.
13th.
About halfway.
Yeah, it's only that low down because I never sort of knew it or never had it. So, but I'm absolutely fascinated to know why you love this one, given the vitriol you directed towards their full album in the '94 episode from Series 1.
I know. I can't explain it. I actually think this is a nice track. I love the funky beat. The rapping
is one of their better tracks, I think, isn't it? Overall.
Their rapping is better in here, I think, because there's a lot of quotables from here that have been used by other rappers on other tracks. I think that's why it resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
With that bullshit style, you're falling fast, G.
Yeah.
Quotable.
I think as good as it is, there's kind of not much to it. It's one of those tracks where it's like, the sample is like brilliant, one of my favourite samples ever. The beat's really nice and crisp, but it's very basic and repetitive. The rapping is just Beat Nuts kind of, average stuff, really, kind of party lyrics, not really saying much. I can't find much to say about it other than it's a good sounding, it's just a good pleasurable listen. Yeah. But beyond that, it's kind of a bit.
Yeah, don't they have the lyrics? They have a real kind of go at kind of fake MCs and stuff like that. It's one of their stock in trade.
Yeah, it's just
subject matters.
just sort of dissing unnamed rappers.
Yeah. All right, so. An unusual pairing, but I think we should vote. What do you think we should do, Larry? What are you going for?
I mean, it's got to be easy,
silly,
isn't
really.
it? Not many. I don't think there's much.
It's no equal.
Up against them.
No equal. Steve.
Easy MFG.
Easy. That's another 3-0 win because I'm going for Easy as well. So rest in peace, Easy. Rest in peace, knowing that you have made it onto our 1993 Dream Team playlist. Congratulations, and of course, congratulations to Dresster and BG Knockout, who have automatically earned themselves a place on the bench.
Maybe come and sit on the bench, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Just wear a bib.
Absolutely. So congratulations to all involved. Okay, let's get on with the next. This is match 10.
This is slightly worrying for me now because we've got a War Tour in there and 93 Till Infinity.
Okay, well let's see.
If they come up against each other, I'm going to cry.
This is number 17.
17, which is Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity.
Please don't be Tribal Quest. Number 9.
Number 9 is Funk Dubious, Bow Wow Wow. Okay, another interesting pairing. Let's have a listen to both of those.
We in the gut, the cinema was mediocre. Take it to the grip so I can stroke him. Kids get broke for their skins when I'm in close range. I throws game at your dip like handball, cause the man's all that. I'm leading chill from 93 to.
Yeah, this is how we chill from 93.
I'll take that all that I bow wow wow, yep to the punk. Wow wow wow. I bow wow wow, yep to the punk. Wow wow wow. I bow wow wow, yep to the punk. Wow wow wow. I bow wow wow.
Let's not take the piss here.
I noticed a couple of heads nodding there. I don't know what that means, but let's go with it. So, yeah, Funk Dubious versus
93 Till Infinity.
93 Till Infinity. So, Steve.
Well, I didn't know either of these tracks early on, so probably I didn't really listen to them at least 10 years after they released. And 93 to Infinity is now one of my favourite tracks. In fact, I had to look up where it was on my list. It's like number 28 on my all-time favourite list. And doing a bit of research, it's on the BBC which is obviously a little bit like vanilla and mainstream. It's number 7 on their list.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
which is I thought was really interesting. So, I think this is, and the more I've kind of learned about hip hop, the more I realise it isn't another kind of one of those iconic sounds. And I just think the whole posse sound really good on here. One of the kind of benefits of being in a group and kind of mixing it up on a track. And it was actually here. Another fun fact for you. A+ produced this track when he was 18 in 91. So it was originally called 91 to Infinity.
All right.
But they didn't release it until 93. So they had to change it.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, I think this is a mammoth track, one that I absolutely love. Did either of you two pick it? Was this one of my sole picks?
Would have been
Can't remember
yours.
now.
No, this is 90 Feet to Infinity is
solely down to
stone
me.
cold classic. It's one of my favourites.
you like it?
Yeah, no, I was absolutely in love with the album when I got it. So it was all based on this track. Obviously another MTV regular. I loved
I
it.
don't remember it. I never remember seeing it on
Yeah.
MTV. It's weird.
It was it's just one of my all-time favourites. I sort of obviously gravitated towards the beat, the sample, a jazzy sample, but then stayed for the lyricism, their interplay, their wordsmithery. It was one of my favourites, and it remains to this day. I absolutely love it. I don't really know what else more I can say. It's an all-time classic to me.
Yeah.
Glad you said that. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we reviewed the album, didn't we?
We did.
In our 93 episode, and I would have said the same at the time. It just, I won't say it's baffling how people love it so much, but I don't share the enthusiasm for it really. I just never particularly enjoyed their rapping. It just sounds like I get it, but I've never really been into that kind of whole true school kind of. You know what I mean? Like these really revered kind of underground rappers. To me, it just sounds like a kind of not less engaging Far Side.
Yeah, they're very much the
all
same
part
area.
of the same crew and
same
stuff,
crew.
I'm sure. But
yeah.
I never got into High Row or Soul's Mission for that kind of stuff.
It was the birth of backpack rap, really, wasn't it? This sort of era.
It was
High Row, in a way.
I mean, I would always kind of say that Backpack is a bit more explicitly New York-y, and the West Coast version of it's slightly different. But yeah, I guess it's kind of too
that kind of alternative.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
More
But
more indie rap.
I think indie rap, and that's why I say sort of the true school. Like it would be all about sort of incredible MC skills and stuff, and I don't know. I just also find that kind of high pitched horn sort of noise on it just really annoying. It just bugs me.
Okay.
So I've never really been into it, unfortunately, but I can see why people like it.
So how about its paired up track? Were you ever into that one? Were you ever familiar with it when it came out? Bow Wow Wow.
Yeah, like this is another one that was on that tape that you did for me, and I kind of absolutely loved it at the time. I think it's just one of those. It's almost a bit of a novelty track.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just love the energy of it. It's classic Soul Assassins stuff. Basically, like they've got such a knack for that kind of really infectious, catchy party kind of tunes that you can sing along and dance along to.
It's Muggs.
And just like
Muggs
the
is a sneaky producer, isn't
he
produced this.
The average person would like this.
Yeah.
In the same way they like Jump Around and Insane in the Brain, all that kind. He's got they've got a knack for it. Like this.
He's the most kind of mainstream underground producer. It's a weird. He's got mainstream sensibilities, but with a real underground
dirty
production,
kind of
dirty
underground
underground
grimy
stuff.
sound. Yeah.
Just look at Jump Around and House of Pain stuff and Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
And then this one.
Is this actually? Is it just him or is it Lethal?
I think I'm not sure. I
think it's just him.
Primarily Muggs, yeah.
Right.
But it's got that. Like I noticed Steve's head nodding when we were playing it. It's just one of those. It's just you cannot help but nod your head.
You cannot help it.
Now his rapping style is an acquired taste, but I personally love it. I love. He's quite funny. I love some of the lyrics, like Tina Turner. I'm a fast learner. I love that style. That's the same reason I love Everlast as well. Everlast's style is. I love that pattern.
Yeah.
Of how he raps. It's really catchy and really appealing.
Punchy,
Yeah. So for the same reason I like this. This was another MTV staple. And I had the album. There's loads more of this sort of stuff on all the way through the album. It's really good.
But I think the rapping is good on here, but I don't think I could listen to a whole album.
Right.
In fact, no, I can't.
It was mercifully short, actually, the album, so it didn't outstay its welcome. But I was a bit worried about this one because I wasn't sure that you two.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to it for years.
No.
And I wouldn't really be inclined to listen to it these days. But when I listen to it again, it's like, yeah, I remember why I love this.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that main kind of the bow wow wow voice, is that like a George Clinton sample?
Bow wow. Yeah, probably.
Be, isn't it? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. I think this feels like a bit of fun. That's what I wrote in my notes. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely fun.
Yeah.
Party music.
Yeah. So well done, Danny, for getting it on the shortlist. I think.
Well, and well done to Sun Doobie and DJ Muggs for making it, because it's an absolute banger to me.
Yeah.
But that's not a foregone conclusion because we need to vote. So
I wonder if that track made them any money in the same way. Like you can imagine that Jump Around would have made them comfortable for forever.
Yeah.
Same way as like Insane in the Membrane stuff. But I wonder if this kind of was a hit.
It was their biggest hit. I mean, it was their but I don't know. Yeah, I would have to look that up. But I mean,
I'd like to think that Sun Doobie's still got the
Sun Doobie's still
checks
around. He's still doing stuff. He does podcasts. I think he still releases stuff.
Right.
They're still touring. So I think he's doing all right off the back of it. It'll be the one everybody's waiting for.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
So we're going to vote. I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to vote for Souls of Mischief. It's obviously one of my all-timers. As much as I love Bow Wow Wow, so I'm going for Souls of Mischief. Barry.
For me, it's Funk Dubious for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never saw that coming.
No. Can you just explain that?
I just don't really like the Souls track. It's just it's just for some reason it just doesn't do it for me.
Steve.
93 to Infinity, all the way.
93 to Infinity. Okay, that was inevitable. So yeah, Souls of Mischief make their way onto the playlist. So that brings us to the last of our draws. Who's going to draw first, Larry? Number three is A Tribe Called Quest Award Tour, and there should just be one number left in the bowl. Steve? Number two, which is Apache, Gangsta Bitch. Steve's favourite.
Do you know what? I take back what I said earlier.
So A Tribe Called Quest Award Tour against Apache, Gangsta Bitch, which is an actually really relevant pairing because they are both produced by Q-Tip. But let's have a listen to them both. Here we go.
Lose all your soul. You could be white and blue, but don't prep the road. See, my shit is universal if you got knowledge of Polo of Delta for self. See, there's no one else who could drop it on the angle. They're cute at that. So do that, do that, do that, that. Come on, do that, do that, do that, that.
Packing his and her nines, wearing Carhartt and leather. Motherfuck the weather. On Valentine's Day, doing stick-ups together. No one to blame, no shame in the game. And when we fuck, she makes me scream out her name. She's not petty, confident, ready. Right for late night, we play fight with machetes.
Right, okay, that was Gangsta Bitch. Steve, I'm going to let you talk about that one, but please.
Let's not take the piss here.
Here we go. What do you think? Gangsta Bitch, come on.
I've gotten very little to say about it because, as you know, I was like, who even chose this track to be on here? The production is okay.
Production by Q-Tip, who you love.
It sounds a bit beat nutty as well, which is maybe another reason I was like,
Because Beat Nuts use that same sample.
Do they?
Love and Happiness, Monty Alexander on their album.
I know we have to see past the misogynistic stuff in hip hop. Because I don't know this track very well, found it very hard to engage with it. I found it very hard to like, and I found it very hard to write any notes about it. So I'm sorry, that's me out.
But he's saying he likes women. He wants a gangster bitch.
Yeah, but it's still misogynistic, isn't it?
Fair enough. Well, moving on to you, Larry. What's your thoughts on? Well, let's start with Gangster Bitch. Come on.
Yeah. It passed me by at the time. I was hearing it for the first time recently. The beat is okay, but nothing special. It notably wouldn't be good enough to be on Midnight Marauders. I think it's obviously a cast-off kind of beat from that era.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah.
And he's a very average, uninspiring rapper.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with any of that. It's not like one of the greatest hip hop tracks of all time. I just had a connection with it back in the day. I really quite enjoyed it. I think it was because of the beat. I love that sample, and I love the beat.
As a teenage boy, you'd have loved those lyrics.
I just really liked it. I
Did you
just
get
thought the
yourself a
concept was
Gangsta
quite
bitch?
good. It's kind of like the counterpoint to MC Light's Roughneck. I always thought. Sort of flipped it a bit. I just liked it. Though sadly, Apache died in 2010, so you're besmirching the dead
Sorry,
by not
I
liking
don't
his
take any of it back, though.
So you're getting
Who was-
a
That's bang out of order. Bitch?
married to her now. Okay, well let's move swiftly on from that one
you
and
will
talk
be in
about
trouble for that
the
comment.
one that I'm sure you both like more. Award Tour by A Tribe Called Quest. Who wants to go first on that one?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak first on this. This is just a top track. Well, I think probably my favourite Tribe Called Quest track. Q-Tip's on top form here. Just his production is just amazing. You said it earlier, Larry. I think he is one of the most underrated producers in hip hop. He probably should be in the top 3, really recognised for his amazing contributions to hip hop. Both the beat and the rapping just flow like butter on here. Tip sounds really
Nice.
good.
No pun intended.
And then Fife just comes in on afterwards just to finish off for me with just one of those kind of perfect tracks. I can't criticise anything about it, and it's in my top 30 of all time tracks. Love it, absolutely love it.
Larry?
Yeah, I mean, I love it also. I don't think it's quite my favourite track on the album. I think I probably would have gone if I probably could have picked sort of a lot of tracks from it, but I think I'd probably go for like Stir It Up, like Steve Biko over this one. That being said, this is like a really great overall package. I love the way it starts with like the raw sample and then those kind of 4 snare hits going into the main beat and straight into the chorus as well. Sort of classic, sort of songwriting technique. Really get the chorus out there, front and center. I love Trugoy on that as well.
Yeah, he gets a good appearance.
And it kind of it reminds me a little bit of like Props Over Here, like Beatnuts. It's just a kind of, we're out on the road, we're shouting out the names of all the cities. You can imagine it just going like when they're in your town, you just want them to, you get waiting to the bit where they say your kind of city's name. Then you've got 2 really kind of solid, enjoyable verses. The lyrics are nothing especially noteworthy, but both of them have just got such listenable voices and infectious delivery that you just, I generally rather listen to these 2 than pretty much any other duo.
Yeah.
Q-Tip's really grown on me over the years. I don't think his voice always appealed to me to start with, but I think because he's so good, I've got kind of used to his style.
Yeah.
And I think just to give the kind of the beat a bit of an extra shout out, I think the fact that it's got like a B section where it kind of switches to that bit with the vibraphone. So it like the beat never outstays its welcome. It switches to that. So when it goes back to the original sample, it sounds fresh again.
Yeah.
Just as it's about to kind of get repetitive, and then you've got the horns over the
Switches
chorus.
it up.
It's just great. Just a really pleasurable little package to
Great
listen
production.
to.
Yeah, and it can never. I mean, with a snare like that, you can never be bored. It's so crisp.
Man,
I love Q-Tip snares.
Yeah.
It's so great. I mean, it's one of the singles from Midnight Marauders. I had it on CD single. It's one of my favourites off that album. As you both know, I'm not a massive fan of that album. I'm more of a Low End Theory guy. But I cannot argue with it being kind of up there, considered one of the all-time classics. And the chemistry between Tip and Fife is just always a pleasure to listen to. So I like this one. Unfortunately, it's quite far down on my ranking. 15th. So never liked it as much as a load of the other ones. No, I control the soundboard. But never liked it as much as the other ones. But I'm not going to argue that it's a stone cold classic that deserves a place on the team. Yeah. So one spot left on the team. What are we going for?
Well, War Tour definitely.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to go Award Tour as well.
3-0.
I think it's another 3-0. So congratulations to Q-Tip, Fife and Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Rest in peace, Fife.
Do you know what? Just a little kind of addendum sort of thing. Like when we were talking about Beatnuts earlier, and whatever track it is of theirs that we were talking about, I was kind of saying like it's fine, but you can't really say much more about it. And I think if you just put it up against like Award Tour, like on the face of it, they're not that dissimilar. Like their tracks about sort of not an awful lot really, but this one is just so elevated beyond it just by having a more varied beat, and it just sounds so much more
creative,
professional and crisp and creative.
It's more dynamic. It's got more energy. Yeah, I kind of agree. All right, so that's Tribe Called Quest takes the last spot on our 1993 Dream Team playlist. So let me just recap the team and all the tracks that made the cut. We've got Tupac's Point The Finga. We've got a Tribe Called Quest award tour. We've got Eazy-E, Real Motherfucking G's, Fat Joe the Gangsta, Flojo, Ice Cube's Ghetto Bird, KRS-One, Sound of the Police, Chief Rocker by Lords of the Underground, Down With The King by Run DMC, Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice, or Snoop Doggy Dogg, sorry, Souls of Mischief 93 Till Infinity, and Wu-Tang Clan's Cream, Cash Rules Everything Around Me.
That is an amazing lineup
for our team. What a playlist that's going to be.
Anybody wants to get into hip-hop, just listen to those 11 tracks. Can't go wrong. There's a nice variety there.
Absolutely. So there it is. Right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a minute to discuss team names, managers, and all the other good stuff. See you in a minute. Hello, welcome back to Hip Hop World Cup Dream Team. We've been discussing the best tracks of 1993 in our playlists. We've got a great team, a good team lineup. But now what we want to do is talk about some of the ones that didn't quite make the cut, or honourable mentions, or on the bench. So, Larry, have you got any tracks that you felt should have made the cut, didn't quite make the list?
Well, I'm sure there would have been some. I couldn't quite find it in our group chat, 'cause it's going back quite a few months now that we sort of put these together. But the one that, when I reflected on it this afternoon, like doing my notes, is a bit of an unusual choice for it. It's an English, it's a UK hip hop track. There's a group called Numbskulls that kind of our listeners might be familiar with. They're from around where we're from, basically. And they had this EP out in 1993 called the Numbskulls EP, and there's a particular track on it called Just Like This, which just like legitimately like blows me away to this day. I don't understand how they could have done something that accomplished like back then,
with
like
the equipment they had,
how
available.
They even would have known how to kind of make hip hop and stuff, and genuinely kind of incredible beat. Like the scratching on it is great, the rapping is absolutely great. I generally would have had this in there, and it would have beaten a lot of tracks. But I don't know, like, would you have allowed me to have that?
I would definitely have allowed you to have it. I probably wouldn't.
You like it as well?
Yeah, I love it. I loved it. It's absolutely incredible. I probably wouldn't have put it on my list, but I think it was an incredible feat. I'd love to know more about how it was made. If we can find it, I'll try and put a clip somewhere around here when I edit this.
Praise, I gotta run down rhythms while raising up funk. Calling a fight despite the fact that we all rap and only took one person to begin it. People come across and try to win it in a minute, but never has it worked. Track converted to a hope. Many more is so, but this is everlasting road for me to climb. My prime will never come. Chapter after chapter, laying down raps on the track for the chaps that listen. Missing no point, gotta avoid paranoid types. I gotta write stuff.
Yeah, a really, really great track, and I think it was only available we only had it on a cassette, and it must have been, they might have put some vinyl or something at the time, or
I think it was a tape only release at the time.
Right.
It's been released on vinyl in the last few years, like a repress, but I think it was only ever like a tape release at the time. Right. Steve, you didn't know about this?
No, I don't know about it.
This is news to you.
Pretty obscure, isn't it?
It is pretty bloody obscure, but we've always kind of been a little bit obsessed with it as an artifact. But anyway, just so happens that when I thought of this earlier, I realised that I have a kind of mutual, on Instagram, I kind of follow one of the members, and he follows me back for some reason, just one of these guys who I guess kind of follows back people that follow him. It's DJ Rummage, who, like one of I think there were two sort of DJs from there, but I reached out to him and just sort of mentioned that we're doing this and asked if he would give us a little shout out, and he was kind enough to oblige, and here it is.
This is DJ Rummage from the Numbskulls and Rustic Records. We're now listening to the Hip Hop World Cup.
Love it. Thank you.
that.
Thanks, Rich, for doing that. That has really made my day. That's cool as hell.
Nice one. Oh, that's a great
shout out ever.
Yeah,
first shout out. Yeah,
I think that'll be could be a regular sting on the podcast.
Yeah, send me that. I think I might turn that into a sting. Nice. Oh, so yeah, definitely a good choice to have on the bench. Steve, give me one of yours.
Yeah, I've got a few. So I think it's criminal that we didn't have Insane in the Brain even chosen on the shortlist, because obviously a massive Cypress Hill track.
Yeah, why wasn't that on
the
there?
year? I tried to get in there. We've also got like some giants of hip hop that didn't make it. So LL Cool J didn't make it from that year. I'd have chosen Backseat. I like that one.
From 14 Shots to the Dome.
And then Master Race had a good album from this year, and Jeep Ass N-Words would have been my pick. And there's loads of stuff that you two wouldn't like. But Danny, I tried my best to get an obscure one in here, which I think I might be saying here. It's by Big Shaq. I Know I Got Skills.
Yeah.
How did that?
I'd have had that on the hit all day long.
Why didn't I? It was on our long list.
Oh, well, the thing is, back in on one of our previous series, I suggested doing a Shaq matchup, doing Shaq Diesel versus Shaq Fu The Return. Nobody was having it. So I thought, if they won't let me have that, then they're not going to let me put I Know I Got Skills on here. I love that track. It's got one of my favourite lines in it, like Spielberg, you get your ass kicked in the park. Love that. I would have had that. Love that. And I like, there's a Master Race track you mentioned there from a really strange album. I think that's quite revered now, that Slaughterhouse album.
Just because another rapper that just keeps reinventing himself.
Yeah.
He's still producing tracks. There's a fantastic album that's come out this year called Richmond Hill, which I recommend everyone listen to. There's also Ego Tripping by De La Soul, which is another big hit that didn't make
Balloon Mind State, another album that I just generally never really got along with.
Yeah, not a great album in my opinion.
No, but there's some good stuff on there. Interesting, Cypress Hill. Quite why we didn't put that on there. I probably wouldn't have chosen it because it was too ubiquitous and
very mainstream.
But on my list of honourable mentions, I've got Hits from the Bong because I really love that one.
I used to love that track as well. Again, that was on that tape that you did, mate.
Right, yeah. I might have put Cock the Hammer on there as well. I used to love Cock the Hammer. Brilliant.
I mean, I did used to, at this point in my life, like to smoke a bong as well, and that was, we always used to put that, as you can imagine, put that on all the time during those sessions.
Anthem. Cool. Is that all of yours, Steve?
Yeah.
Did you have any others? Numbskull?
No, don't think so.
Right, let me just run through some of mine. Pipe up if you want to say anything about them, but I've got one I would have loved to have seen on here was Slam by Onyx, which I think is amazing. Slam. I've got a soft spot for TCD in the Front by the Conscious Daughters. In fact, that whole Conscious Daughters album I want to get on an episode at some point. Ear to the Street, love it. Produced by Paris, friend of the show.
Yeah.
You'll wonder what the hell I'm doing putting this one on my list, but Ghetto Jam by Domino I loved in 93. Deeper by Boss. One for Midnight Marauders that I personally would have chosen was Electric Relaxation. I think that's just an incredible track.
I think most people probably would have had that as their favourite. For me, it's just a little bit.
You can't have those as bench tracks because we already chose a Tribe Called Quest one.
No, so they've lost their spot. As I say, hits from the bong. The Posse, Shoot 'Em Up, Intelligent Hoodlum. Me and you discussed that one.
Yeah.
In one of our previous episodes, Steve. MC Ren Mayday on the Front Line, which we mentioned before. CB4 soundtrack and Shock of the Hour. So, yeah. I mean, I'm quite happy. You know, I'm fine with those not being on there.
You could have quite easily ended up with a lot of Soul Assassin stuff.
Yeah.
Like you could have 3 tracks on there, couldn't you?
I think so, yeah.
And they all would have earned their spot in the team, I think, as well.
Definitely. So those are our on the bench tracks. So did anyone have any thoughts about a team name?
Yeah, couple. Golden Era Gangsters.
Like that. Golden Era Gangsters. Good stuff, Steve.
And maybe East and West Not United.
I think this one sounds better than it looks, but I think it's a winner. It's Real motherfucking G's.
That's really good.
That is the one.
I'm not even going to try and come up with anything to beat that. That's great. Steve, I love yours.
Yeah.
In fact, let's get an That's really good. Ray Al, motherfucking G's. That's so good. Love it. And
brilliant.
So, who would be the manager of this team? I think Sam Allardyce, would be quite up for it. He's quite a boisterous manager. He'd be able to handle some of those rowdy, bold-headed players.
I've got the hip-hop equivalent of that. Why not put Suge Knight in there?
Suge Knight.
Oh,
love that.
He would run a tight ship.
Oh, he would run a tight ship. Yeah.
Would they be a bit nervous though? A bit nervy on the pitch, like playing for?
That's good though.
Suge?
Fear.
It'd be like one of was it the Colombian team that
Escobar
got shot when?
Escobar. Was it '94?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Be like that. But they'll play really well because they don't want to get found in the trunk of a car.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm more than happy with Suge Knight being the manager for that.
I had just because he's got time on his hands, 5 FT.
Yeah, because he's not doing a lot else.
Exactly.
Would you consider a player manager? Because we did have, there's some goats in there. KRS-One, player manager. Q-Tip, player manager.
Yeah.
Worth considering.
Yeah, definitely worth a shout. Some really good ideas in there. I didn't come up with anything better than any of that. So
Suge's a pretty good shout.
Let's go for Suge and Real
motherfucking G's. Oh, that's great. Love it. Good. Okay, and the star player. So who's a star striker? Best track of all of these. Who is the automatic pick? Who starts every game?
For me, my highest ranking track is Gin and Juice.
Is it? Yeah. Larry?
I think it's probably got to be Eazy on this one.
Easy for me as well. Yeah. It's number one in my ranking. It's my star striker.
I won't argue with that.
Yeah. So Eazy, well done. Rest in peace to Eazy. You made it. Star striker. He gets the Mars bar. Okay, so that's our 1993 Dream Team complete. It's quite a lineup. Don't forget that we'll put our playlist on Spotify for you to enjoy, so please check that out. The link will be in the description below. Also, don't forget to let us know what you think of our 1993 Dream Team. Any tracks you think should be on there, please let us know on X and Instagram at Hip Hop World Cup. Give us a follow. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us nice reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that good stuff, or wherever else you get your podcasts. But until the next episode, peace.
Aye, good looking boy.
World Cup.